All of these people are insane. How can they look up at the crimson sky with such determination, knowing every breath they take on this God-forsaken land could be their last? They call this place Eden, but everyone knows there's no such thing as paradise. Not on this earth. It was supposed to be a simple mission: infiltrate Dorothy's domain, gather intelligence, disappear. But somewhere along the way, the mission fell apart, and the spy became a hostage. And somehow, she grew fond of her captors, these lunatics who laugh in the face of extinction, who stand shoulder to shoulder against the impossible. Now, with doomsday at the doorstep, Papillon can do nothing but tremble. A spy isn't built to stare down titans, but even fear can be bent, and she finds herself mustering a miracle of courage, risking her life to do whatever she can to deliver supplies to those she once despised, especially her, Isabel, that mad woman who's been a thorn in her side since the beginning. And yet, against all odds, there's something there, a fragile sense of camaraderie born in hell.
だからかしら。それが眩しく見えたの。だから解放してあげるわ。あなたに死んでほしくないから。早く行って生き残りなさい。また会えるかしら。
With a final goodbye, Isabel takes to the sky, soaring into the blood-red clouds, never to return. Guilt crashes over Papillon like a wave. Why fight? Why not retreat to the Ark, regroup, survive? Why sacrifice yourself for Eden, this false paradise? The questions echo in her mind as she comes to a halt, hands trembling over her receiver. She begins transmission.
何してんのよ、私。時間がないからよく聞いて。クイーンが降りてきて、エデンは壊滅。パイオニアとバイスリッターが合流。インヘルトが全滅したわ。なんですって。嘘じゃないわ。急いで来て。みんな死んじゃいそうなの。早く助けて。呆れちゃうわね。ほんとバカみたい。何やってんのよ、私。
And in that moment, realizes the truth. All of these people are insane, and now she's one of them. Without hesitation, she turns back towards the chaos. The ground shakes. Bursts of energy ripple through the air ahead. She doesn't speak and charges into the darkness. Then, silence. The earth freezes. The air itself holds its breath. Something has claimed victory. Papillon steps forward and sees a scene that defies words. 3 pilgrims lie motionless, one shattered into pieces, one torn in half, and one crushed into the ground. The Rapture Queen hangs lifeless in the distance, and before her, a Nike she's never seen before, smiling brightly amid the carnage. A Nike?
何？あなた！
Dorothy lands before her, her face grim, as if the cycle has repeated. Once more, she cries out, trembling.
リリー・バイス。いいえ、リリー・バイスはもういません。
死者は二度と帰らない。何者です、あなたは。それが誰の姿か分かっているのですか。答えば。答える気がないなら構いません。殺します。
Where do we go from here? It's the question that lingers after the profound silence of Goddess Fall's ending. What can humanity do against such overwhelming power? As if gathering the Infinity Stones, the Queen, or whatever the entity was, perhaps the parasite that controls the Queen, has absorbed Nihilister, Indivilia, Lilith's entire body, and took Marion's core. She also came into contact with Vaphouse for the first time, and as the epitome of rapid evolution, it wouldn't be far to say she's quickly finding a way to become immune to it. After all, she absorbed Nihilister, who has dealt with Vaphouse already, meaning she can presumably extract the data on how to counter it as well. So what weakness does that leave us to exploit? Virtually nothing. Although, going back to Vaphouse, we the commander are also rapidly evolving. Does that translate to the constant evolution of our blood, making it impossible to counter even with the Queen's processing power? I could very well see that being the diamond pickaxe to this conundrum. But using Vaphouse as a weapon hasn't had as many successes to begin with, especially concerning the four beasts who have themselves evolved from the Queen's blood. We've seen that it's actually done the opposite effect, unchaining them from transformation, essentially making them far more powerful. With such double-edged effects, it's too risky to use Vaphouse against the Queen at all. What doesn't kill her only makes her stronger. Literally. So with Vaphouse basically out of the question, what does that leave us? Chapter 41 and 42 introduced us to the answer. There's only one answer. Yes, I just made a shitty pun. The four beasts, in their blind recklessness, might have accidentally created the only hope we have against the so-called Queen. Only one took on the most powerful heretic, Cinderella, Grave, Siren, Matus, Rappy, and the four beasts, and Gluttony, without breaking a sweat. This All-Stars team got wiped out, and the only reason they lived is because Commander finally realized he became a dad. In other words, despite only one being an infant, she 1v13'd and came out on top. Furthermore, this is a bit of a tangent. It makes me realize how primitive Deep technology is. The perfect symbiote, Rappy Red Hood, didn't stand a chance against her own child. All of a sudden, Deep went from being the neutral but almighty faction that actually controls the world behind the scenes to some cult that shadows a fraction of the Queen's power. Maybe they just aren't what they used to be, as shown in Neon's encounter with the crippled. Maybe researchers like Jen are picking up where they left off and are trying to make sense of it. Anyhow, let's get back on deck. Only one is the only entity left on Earth that can stand a chance against the Queen. It's essentially fighting fire with fire. Only one has learned the powers of all those she absorbed, including Cinderella, and she is undeniably the daughter of the one who holds the Vaphouse, us. So take a second to think about that. She has the advantage of being the direct descendant of Vaphouse and Goddess, since Rappy's original body still had Red Hood separated. Sounds pretty OP, right? Well, OP is exactly what we need. The problem remains in how we can utilize such a weapon. Is it even ethical in the first place to force a child to fight the most powerful being on the planet? Probably not. From the start, the child's creation was questionable. The commander was sexually assaulted, forced against his will to extract his super juice to be used as a catalyst. Thank goodness the four beasts are hot and likable otherwise, or else we would be talking about double standards and the whole "imagine if this was the other way around" headache. Hold on, let me indulge in a scenario for a sec. What if the commander spills the beans to Old Tales? How would Cinderella and Siren act? Siren would probably scold Levy quite harshly and comfort us all the while, but Cinderella, seeing as she is the jealous type,
あなた、私たちの子供よ。可愛いでしょ？
まずは食事にしましょう。
she might just vaporize the four beasts right then and there. As much as I would like to see Cinderella defend us, I'd like to see Behemoth and Ziz live to see another day, to be in the gacha somehow. We should probably keep our mouth shut for now. Anyhow, Only One is also way too young and clearly lacks the brain function to control her powers. This is not a reliable way of taking down the queen at all, and it doesn't help that her parents have left her in the care of the four beasts. Behemoth would raise her well, but the others, maybe not so much. At the very least, keep Bahamut away. So here we are, at the end of the prologue, and the true beginning of this amazing story that transcends the asses shaking on the screen. Many threads were cut, burned even, but many more remain. Here are the major threads we have left. And I'm just going to quickly gloss over these. We have Deep and the Supreme Commander, Oswald, and the end of Legendary Commander. We don't know what happened to those guys, really. Night has passed with Deep. They didn't really go much into it. There's so much more to explore there. The slow death of the Ark with the supermassive core slowly fizzling out. Neon's true purpose, the holder of the key. Gluttony's gargantuan main body and potentially more deadly sins since, Gluttony is part of the seven. Pinocchio as the third species. How did she form? Why does she grow at a rapid pace, enough so that Naita had to place restrictions on her? There's Sixo with EH, Liverin, and Enix's own evolution. Crow is still in detention. We haven't heard from her at all. There's the twins. Does Naita know about them? What about Reptilian? What made them an enemy of humanity? Corruption? Or something more akin to Dorothy, where she was betrayed? Dorothy's future. Once again, she lost paradise. What's next for her? Has Rapture production truly stopped? How many Raptures are there left? What happens to Marion from now? Does she still have queen powers? Her core is gone, and all the heretics are basically dead anyways. And Lib is fine now. We don't need Marion to control Lib. Chatterbox will return, but for what? To be a nuisance for the 9th time?
Hey, fuck you.
What will become of Crown and her kingdom? Will she shift her focus from defense? And then we have the corpse duo. Mirror's newest dream. Does she still loathe Cinderella? The queen can change the physics of the world. Is that what Mirror is after now? Absolute power? If Marion was the puppet, are we a part of that? We as the commander? And what the fuck does Rose want? It truly has never been a better time to be a Nikke fan. Let me tell you, it's been a wild year, but I can safely say all of it has been worth it. I cannot wait to see what comes next in this story.
あれからみんなどうなったの？
インヘルトは全滅した。
全滅って
ノアの脳はブレインシェルターに保管されている。イサベルとハランは戦死した。